remember what this is, you are an OG of the channel. 3D printed lily pipe holder. Well, here we have it, everyone. The start of the 20-gallon long project, the 20-gallon long reimagined. It's no longer a temporary holding tank that's acting as a buffer for fish as we move into the house. It's now going to be something that is hopefully more intentional. So, as you can see, we set up some little DIY light fixtures, and this is just a Fluval Flex plant light. I think it's the 24-inch light. Love Fluval. They make great lights. This is a super affordable setup. I think the Aquarium itself I bought for like 30 bucks or something like that. The filter was maybe another 30. Actually, the most expensive part in this kit, or in this whole setup, is the Fluval Flex light that I'm using, which is like around $120, I think, USD. But even then, you do not need to actually use this Fluval Flex light, and you can totally make a setup like this for super cheap. Also, check out this little lemongrass aquascape that I am currently conceptualizing. More on that later, but this is a piece of lemongrass that is not doing too crazy, but hopefully we can revitalize it and bring it back to life. So let's go ahead and get this out. This workbench has taken an absolute beating, but that's totally okay, because that is what this is made for. There we go. Catch all the water with a towel. So this right here is a bin that is full of UNS contra sand. This is a really coarse sand. I believe it is the Monterey blend or something like that, but this is actually what I had in here back when we had the endlers in this tank, and I'm going to be repurposing it. I'm going to be using it to raise the substrate level, so we're going to put it in the bottom. All that being said, I'm also experimenting with having more blends of substrates. Like, I'm trying to incorporate more gravel in with sand, just for the sake of aerating plants better. Because for those of you who don't remember, the last time I had fish in here, I used this gravel without any sort of sand cap, and it actually worked remarkably well, specifically for the crypts and all the Echinodoras that we had. So yeah, I'm going to do sort of a hybrid of what we did last time, have a lot of room for roots to grow, and have it loosely packed, but then have a layer of sand on the top to hopefully trap the nutrients down better. So this right here is a blend of UNS Contra Sand Mojave and UNS Contra Sand Bora, and I really like the way this looks. It is just a nice neutral brown. I don't know how to explain it, but I really love the way that Mojave sand looks. That said, after a while, it kind of just starts to turn more red, even more red than it is when you first get it. I have it in my Rasbora tank just to kind of show you what I'm talking about, but I'm hoping that toning back the Mojave with the Bora will kind of help keep that neutral, deserty sand look that I really like. I know that sounds a little weird and maybe it'll amount to nothing, but what would this hobby be without a little bit of experimentation? And before we get to capping on this gravel with this sand here, I'm going to go ahead and add some nutrient tablets here. So one of the problems that I'm worried about is this driftwood floating. I don't have a pot that is big enough to waterlog it. I have boiled it before, actually in my parents' backyard out in the countryside in a big cauldron over a bonfire, but it has since dried out. It's bone dry right now. But we're gonna put a bunch of lava rock in here as part of the hardscape, and I'm gonna glue this driftwood to said lava rock, and hopefully that'll keep it down when we do the initial fill up. So yeah, let's keep on placing some more lava rocks, and I have some lava rocks from some other projects with some Nubius on them, so I think they'll be really good for this. So let's go ahead and check them out. All right, Katie, can you see this? Mm-hmm. Awesome. Yeah, we got Katie recording. Thank you for being a big supporter of this channel. Actually, that's an understatement. But we have some lava rock from a previous project that I have been holding in bins for the longest time. And we have a bunch of different varieties of Anubias. We have Anubias nana, Anubias nana petite, and then my favorite Anubias batteri, I believe, which is has the longer leaves. As you can tell, there's some craters in here already. Obviously, I've already been experimenting with where I want to put all this stuff. And the last lava rock that we have with Anubias nana petite, I'll go ahead and place that here. All right, so this is looking wonderful, at least in my opinion. If you hate it, let me know in the comments down below. But we have this tiny little lava rock here. I'm gonna go ahead and break it apart into a bunch of pieces, and we are gonna scatter it amongst the scape to kind of just add more rigidity to it, make it look a little bit more, I don't know, detailed, natural, whatever. Alright, so these rocks have super sharp edges on them because obviously we just chiseled them off the bigger piece. So I'm going to go ahead and sand them down so that way any sort of cories or bottom dwelling fish that we may have isn't going to tear up their whiskers on these. So yeah, pretty important. So that's what I'm doing right now. Alright, here's our small little collection of little pieces of lava rock. Let's go and add them. I want you to watch me closely. This next part is really complicated. I'm just kidding. I'm gonna straighten them out a little bit, but as you can see, I'm just kind of placing them in a way that, makes a little bit of sense. Just making it follow the cadence of all the other rocks. Just like you would see in a river or a creek or a puddle or a pond. Not puddle, but let's go ahead and spray it down so it looks the same as all the others. Alright, so I'm going to be wrapping up for today. I am super tired. I want to go to sleep. But basically, we just put the Anubias in there. We're going to put a lot more plants in here, don't worry. But typically, when I'm in a situation like this, what I'll do is I'll just flood this substrate layer. So that way I can obviously see what I'm working with, because the substrate does shift a little bit. So I want to know what I'm working with there. But this is a good way to just keep plants humid without having to flood the entire tank, because obviously I'm not done with it. I need to glue some things down, and I also want to plant more as well. So let's go ahead and flood the sand, and we'll have the plastic wrap over the Anubias, and we'll keep it nice and humid overnight. I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but obviously I have some aqua soil mixed in with the sand as well. I'm not doing like a full nutrition layer, but I just kind of have it sparsely mixed in throughout, and I find that it actually works really well, specifically for extremely hardy root feeders like Amazon swords and crypts. Alright, so I just got finished gluing the rocks to the driftwood. I'm really banking on the fact that this will hold the driftwood down because, like I said earlier, it's not waterlogged whatsoever. So hopefully it holds it down. But while we're waiting for the glue to dry, I'm going to go ahead and add some Anubias nana petite in all of the cracks, and that should actually make this look even better than it already looks. Anubias nana petite is an epiphyte plant, meaning that it does not need to be buried into the substrate, and it gets all of its nutrients from the water column. All right, so we have a variety of plants here. We have dwarf Sagittaria, which is very tall. I always love the way that dwarf Sagittaria looks in longer tanks, especially when it gets to the top and then it kind of just starts to swoop over. It's just a really cool look overall. And along with that, we have some Amazon sword. Now, this is a very small Amazon sword, but it will get maybe 3 times the size as this. When we put this underwater, eventually it'll kind of adjust and it will actually look different. It'll be shaped different than this. And we have a bunch of Amazon swords in here. We have a bunch of little baby Amazon swords. They're really cute. We have like 3 of them. And yeah, what I have here in my hand is going to eventually take over the entire background of this aquarium. So that should be pretty cool. And this right here is micro sword, or Liliopsis brasiliensis. This little piece here is looking a little rough along with all of the other pieces of it that I have here. And the reason for that is I was able to get a tissue culture. For those of you who don't know, those are like the little plants that you get in a cup that are like algae-free, snail-free, pest-free, all that stuff. But usually they're really expensive. They're like $20 to $30 depending on the plant. These I got for $3 on clearance at the reef because the packaging was damaged. The lid was torn open and half of the plants in the cup were actually starting to melt. Like it was kind of just decomposing in a cup. And they sold it to me for $3, and I said, you know what, I'll take a chance. And we're gonna see if we can revitalize this cluster of micro sword here. So if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. I'll be down $3, but if it works out, awesome. All right, so right now I'm just planting these pieces of micro sword in little clusters. And these will be a foreground plant. And yeah, they're kind of already starting to fall apart on me. Alright, so we're just planting this micro sword in the foreground here. I don't really have high expectations for this. Alright, now we have this pathetic excuse for an Amazon sword that will grow 4 times the size as this, I assure you. Alright, so I think the idea for this tank is we're going to have like 2 really big Amazon swords on either side of the aquarium. And lastly, we have this beautiful dwarf Sagittaria, couple strands of this. Let's go ahead and put this in here. So what we're going for here is really just a jungle of plants. You know how we roll on this channel. But yeah, I just want this to be a densely packed, plant-filled, cozy jungle of an aquarium. Those are just the most enjoyable, in my opinion. That's what I like to look at.
Action.
Alright, so right now we are draining some water from our RO water canister into our bucket. We're going to go ahead and finish off the initial fill up, and I'm going to put some tap water in there as well for some minerals. That's typically how I roll. A few days later, I decided that I was getting a little impatient, and I decided to buy some full-size Amazon swords just to sort of speed up the process. And along with that, I also added in some Anubias and Buse, along with some additional crypts, invasion, and I just wanted to put more plants in here to just kind of fight off the early onset algae. Alright everyone, so it's now been about 30 days since we have taken on this project. And things have been cycling. I've just been letting things sit. So a couple of notes, a couple of things that have happened. All of the melting micro sword, if you remember, I had the tissue culture cup that was deeply discounted, and all of the bad bits of that have since died off, and we have some healthy bits that are remaining. So that's actually super cool. So I guess we sort of did get our money's worth. I would say about $3 worth of micro sword, if you will, if you want to put a price on it. Hopefully that micro sword will continue to prosper and grow. We might need to get a stronger light if we want it to like actually send runners and carpet. But for now, it's sort of just like a nice detail plant to go in the corners. And other than that, obviously the water is a bit tinted from the tannins from the wood. It is actually starting to get toned back a little bit. It's a lot less tan than it was maybe like 2 weeks ago. So one thing I'd like to point out here, on the top of the water, you can see there's a bunch of foam here, a bunch of foamy bubbles. This is a result of a lot of waste in the water, and this is most likely from the microsword. But as the microsword continues to decompose and as the snails continue to eat it, this foam will actually start to clear up, and it has done so actually. There was a lot more than this, and it's toned back quite a bit. So yep, that's to be expected when you start a new aquarium, and especially when you're adding a lot of plants in at once. There's prone to be melt, and there's prone to be a lot of decomposition, and that's going to lead to a spike in ammonia, which causes the foam. And that ammonia spike alone is the reason why we don't want to add fish right away. Well, everyone, all of the rummy nose tetras are now in here. This tank is now stocked. We also have our pygmy cories as well. And yeah, it's looking really good. All the fish are looking really healthy. I think we had a really good batch of fish, and I'm just really stoked about it. They're swimming around everywhere, and yeah, they're just really fun to watch. They're exploring all over the tank, and it's super rewarding to watch schooling fish in a longer dimension tank. That's what they like. They like to swim back and forth. I would actually go as far as to say that maybe sometime down the road we'll get a bigger tank, maybe like a 40-gallon long or a breeder tank or whatever. Yeah, it really is just a joy watching them swim lengthwise. It's super fun to watch. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. And I'm Alex with the World of Whasian channel. And as always, I'll keep you all updated on this aquarium, and let me know what you want to see next in the comments down below. I'll see you on the next one.